Welcome, hunters, to the Hunter's Hub, episode 21. Today, it's just Lobo and myself. Hello,
Hello.
Lobo.
Hey.
We're just gonna get hyped, right?
Oh yeah, crazy hype.
So in 2 days' time, to date this, we have the live stream for the spring update. So we're gonna go into mad speculation about that.
I want to emphasize 2 days before the update. So anybody who wants to comment saying, "Oh, you're wrong," we know.
Yes, because you'll be hearing this Sunday, or at least that's when we'll be releasing it. You might not listen until Wednesday, so don't know. But to start us off, Lobo, you mentioned that there was a simple task hype that a lot of people, let's just say, hyped themselves up for DevilJho.
Yes. So I also got excited about it because you see a high rank quest that says go gather some mushrooms. And every other time that a game has given you a simple quest like go gather some mushrooms, there has been something terrible and evil that came with that quest. And this is the first time that didn't happen. So
Those tracks.
Yeah.
All tracks.
And there's no actual monsters in it, like, at all. It's like the safest mission in the entire game.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really hype myself up for it. Aside from the fact I was really hoping it was just a ginormous puke, because now I'm 160 in and still no crowns.
Oh,
Anyways, I just went around gathering tracks, but I was actually really nervous. Like, I was like, what is this, like, maybe like a one-hit kill quest or something? So I was like really afraid of the Jagras.
Oh.
I was like, okay, cool. And there was, it seemed to me like there was like actually a reduced amount of the mushroom gathering points.
Yeah, I noticed that. Usually there's like 4, and there's like 1 or 2 of that particular type of mushroom, I think. I'll have to go back in and look now.
It felt like it, is all. So I actually had to go on the map and look for like mushroom colonies on the map. So it was annoying. But yeah, it was a lot of people hyping themselves up for no reason. I mean, I got behind the idea that it was going to be a puke based on the track. I never really expected it to be DevilJho. That's not a good idea for them to just release DevilJho before they talk about him, because Capcom right now is interested in shoving coal into that hype train, and just releasing something without really telling anybody is the opposite of building a hype train.
I actually kind of disagree on that point. Mostly because I think the amount of YouTube videos and Twitch streams and things of like suddenly everybody's looking for DevilJho, and the stereotypical Twitch titles of "Oh my God, murdered by a giant dinosaur" and stuff like that. I imagine so many videos of that showing up.
Well, you're not wrong. I'll say that. I don't think that Capcom or many other companies like relying on Twitch and other people's reactions. I think they like driving it themselves.
Yeah, it's true. I actually kind of have wondered a while back, because of Twitch and because of YouTube, how much advertisement that actually results in sales. I know it definitely probably helped with the Monster Hunter demo, because everybody got to watch.
Yeah. But I don't
know. The main point we were going to talk about was this announcement that's coming up this week.
Well, yeah, the live stream that's going to detail DevilJho. There's not a lot to say about it beforehand. That's why this is mostly going to be speculation on our part. Because basically they just told us that we're going to talk about DevilJho and all the other stuff coming in there. Now, what interests me is they're calling it the update. They're not just saying it's DevilJho. They're calling it the spring update. So that makes me wonder, like, what else is there? Like, it sounds to me it's pretty obvious that there is more than DevilJho coming in spring.
Oh yeah, I'm excited as to what else they could be bringing. I'm actually curious because of the fact that if they're bringing back multiple old monsters, they would have said they would have been advertising something other than just DevilJho. So either they're not sure still which one they're going to push yet, which since it's a software push, they can change it however they want. And something may not be ready. So either they're not sure what's going to be ready by update push time, or they may be bringing us new monsters in this update, which I'm kind of hoping for.
Right, which we'll actually get to in a little bit here. So, what do you think is going to be here aside from monsters? Like just off the top of your head, like when you hear spring update, like what does that mean to you?
I'm used to, unfortunately, like the League of Legends, Dota, Warcraft cycle of updates and Warframe, and usually that means like not only like it's not always just bosses, but it's also like a new zone or a new level, or they're tweaking the visuals, adding more zones within a location, or potentially, I don't think they're going to do a weapon rebalance because everything's pretty chill right now. But I do think maybe they will do an overhaul of maybe weapon designs. That's, again, crazy far-fetched stuff. But, like, for a big update they're advertising like this, that might be a thing. Just based on what I've played.
I would argue that you're more likely to see new weapons and new armors over, I'm sorry, not redesigns. So you talk about like weapon redesigns.
Yeah, I'm talking about model. I'm talking about model updates and such. Like,
yeah, I don't
give hunting horns more models and stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's going to happen just with new weapons coming to it. I think just innately. The one thing that I would say is probably more likely, given it's kind of weird, but they've already done some sort of balance updates, didn't they?
They did a tiny one to bowguns, and I say tiny because in reality it just brought them back in line with how bowguns used to be and should be played. Because previously it was just all slicing all day, and that's just it's one of those, somebody didn't look at those numbers and realize people are going to abuse them, I think. So
yeah, so I could see them manipulating balance changes as a result of that. That was unprecedented for Monster Hunter, and I could see them doing that. Are they going to do it? I don't know, but I could see them looking at the bottom 3 weapons and saying, let's tweak those numbers just a bit.
Oh yeah, I can see. My biggest thing is I'm afraid of balance in a PvE cooperative game where people are like, oh, we have to nerf this weapon so the others can... No. We're all on the same team. Nobody's playing Team Monster.
I mean, you could argue that all day, but look at Diablo 3. It's constant. Every update has balance changes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a PvE. There's no PvP in that whatsoever, even though they promised it.
There's a ladder system and people who try to rush that stuff.
That's true.
Yeah,
but those balance updates were happening before the ladders existed. I know, I was there.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not unheard of, and I mean, you hear people complaining all day about, like blah blah blah. This isn't good, So, for instance, I don't know if you saw today, but I'm doing the weapon threads again on Reddit, and this week is hunting. And
yes.
As a lot of people know, hunting horn is the least popular weapon you could possibly use.
Yep.
The Wavarian reminds you every time you see him. So, we're talking, discussing the hunting horn. I'm not as versed in it, but I've been practicing it so that I could talk about it today in my post. And we had one person come in here. He's using the word wrong, but he's trying to say that hunting horn is not a viable soloist. That's factually wrong. There all are soloists.
Boo.
They're soloist hunting horn players, right? They do just fine. They're able to do what everyone else is doing. They're just not able to do it as quickly because it's actually not doing as much damage.
I actually did want to bring up a note about that.
Yeah.
Arctic, one of our previous guests, has now since surpassed me in Monster Hunter in terms of how far he's gotten, and
And he's hunting horn.
he's still only hunting horn. He in
Yep.
fact beat the 4 Apex Predator. I don't remember what it's called. Um, Wrath, Diablos, Odogaran, and Lagiana in the tiny arena.
Oh,
He
that's the Commander's Challenge.
he beat that with 45 seconds to spare using hunting horn.
Wow.
And that's you have to do that in what 25 minutes. It's a really short timer, and that's
It's
a lot
not
of
easy.
that's a lot of damage for a hunting horn to put out. Obviously he got close, but to failing, but
Yeah.
you can still do it.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like people get really hung up on optimal speedruns sometimes. So what I was getting to is this guy was like just vehemently arguing that it's not viable because you can't speedrun. And I'm like, well, you can. You just have to say I'm using a hunting horn for my speed run. I have the best hunting horn timer. I mean, they've been doing that for years since I've been in speed runs in Monster.
That's been a staple of speed runs everywhere.
Yeah, he was just being combative because he was upset that the hunting horn wasn't, in his words, viable, but in everyone else's words, optimal.
Yeah.
So it was just, but there are people out there who want to see weapons do better in a PvE environment. So I could see them, dropping in a patch here and there with like slight balance changes, like, oh, well, now the hunting horn attacks like 1% faster, which probably not faster. It'd probably be like it does like 1% more damage, adjusted the damage values or the motion values.
Yeah.
Whatever they do, I could see that as a possibility, but if they don't do it, I wouldn't really be surprised either, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they do a lot of these balance changes before we ever see the game, right? I mean, they're pretty locked on what they felt about things before we saw the beta.
Yeah, we got to test it for a little bit, and they used our stuff as a little bit of feedback. But we don't know how long they were testing before that.
Right. So, yeah, that's so my initial thought when they say spring update with DevilJho is DevilJho, and we'll get into this later. I'm going to say I'm expecting at least 2 other monsters, like 3 monsters to drop. I'm not expecting, I'm hoping, right? This is my hopeful brain saying, oh, like the update is going to have more than one monster. I'm not expecting a map update. I'm not expecting one this quick.
Yeah, that'd be a huge update.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is I think it might be a map though still, and my reasoning is they could have been developing another one that just wasn't ready by launch. Like the way DevilJho looks, he was probably mostly ready by launch, but either they wanted to have that as an update later on, or he wasn't quite ready.
What if they're themed?
What do you mean themed?
So DevilJho is a nomadic tyrant that roams around. What if we get nomadic tyrants that roam around?
Oh, so like other invader-y type of stuff.
Yeah, or
Ooh.
Brute Wyverns. We get 2 more Brute Wyverns on top of him. So let's just say, for speculation's sake, for the nomadic... Well, we're already talking about monsters now, so whatever. But, so let's say we talk about nomadic monsters. You could say Tigrex is nomadic, right? Because Tigrex you can find in the desert, the mountains, the forests. Like Tigrex is like a very pervasive monster. He's not been sort of like a roaming wreck your day monster like DevilJho. They could make him that.
You mentioned other big roamer things, and my mind thought, what if we got the second pine cone in the game?
Yeah.
We already have Basil.
Regios or Stevo.
If Steve comes, I will be the happiest because I love his armor so much.
Would be the second monster with bleed.
Oh yeah. I do think we are getting another monster, and here's part of my reasoning as well, is because of the current amount of monsters. Like the forest, I'm gonna forget the names of the areas, but the forest has a lot of monsters. There's a decent
Yes.
amount there. The desert has a okay amount of monsters. There's
It's
like
got a little bit more.
4, 5, 6, 7 if you include Teostra, 8 if you include Basil, and then the Coral Highlands is just kind of sitting with not that many stuff. And one of them's a duplicate from another zone.
Yep. Swap one out for Odo and you're done.
Yeah, so like I think they probably will be implementing something new in the Coral Highlands because it's sparse there, and you don't even spend much time story wise there. You just kind of show up, do your thing, and then leave.
Okay. So you've got Palumo, Ziziyaku, Legiana, and Pinkrathi that are like sort of residents there. With Odo sort of coming in and, Beetlejuice wrecking everyone's day.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember Pancrathian at all.
Yeah, she's there.
Wow. I've never run
It's
into
like
it.
a good portion of the high rank
Oh, that's right. You're tracking her.
early game, yeah. Early game high rank. No, that's not what I would say. Early high rank.
Yeah. But that's the thing is just like the fact that I barely remember that, and then on random hunts, I don't think I've ever run into her, ever.
Oh, I have. And she's in the desert. She goes between the Coral Highlands and the desert.
So I think if they're gonna include stuff, obviously DevilJho should be in every single map. Um,
Yeah.
but I think they might include something for Coral Highlands and hopefully something for um, the Crystal Caves. I know I'm not good at Elder's Recess. There we go.
Elder's Recess. That does have a little bit more variety. The Elder's Recess does.
Yeah.
Only because you get the Elders there so often.
Yeah. If you discount the Elders, though, you have 3, right? 4.
4. So what you have is Dodogama. Then you have sort of like the mid-tier Urigan Lavasieth.
That's right.
You have, I guess you'll just call the Apex ones the Elders.
Isn't Basil's home technically that area? Like
I have no clue.
that's the only one he actually sleeps in, right?
I don't know. I never let him run away. If I actually decide to kill him, he dies where he stands.
Because he sleeps up in that weird donut shaped area where there's that little spot in the middle.
Okay, where Kushala does.
Yeah, and that's the only place I've ever seen him go to sleep in any map. I could be very wrong there, but I don't think I've ever seen him sleep anywhere else.
I don't know. I've never, like I said, if I decide to kill him or I ignore him, it's either way. I don't follow him if I ignore him, but if I kill him, he kind of just dies in the area. Fight him. I don't think he ever really runs away if he's injured. That might be the case, or I just don't let him. I don't know.
But yeah, that's my thing. Is that just I think they're gonna maybe hopefully include more updates for those.
Sure. So if to go back to the theme idea, I could see when we talk about brute wyverns, right?
Right.
If we talk specifically about brute wyverns, I could see Brachydius being in the outer recess.
Yes.
Being an extra one there.
In that hot fiery place, I can see him jumping across that.
Yeah. And I could see Glavinus or someone like that also. If we get Duramboros,
That'd be weird.
he'd have to be in the ancient forest. It's the only place he would really be, because he's an herbivore that eats trees. It's the only thing.
We did fight a Duramboros out in the desert though, in one of the older games.
That is the rusted Duramboros.
Yeah. That was also one of the ones that had a fun quest where it was just absolutely massive.
I think it was massive to begin with. But
Yeah.
Take him to Gold Crown status. Just forget about it.
The only other brute wyvern I can think of is Glavinus, but I don't think they're really going to bring those in. I really doubt they're going to bring in generation stuff. I know that's mean, and I'd love to have Mitsune in the Coral Highlands because it just fits the area, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Oh, that would be cool if they just did like here's a generations update and here's a blah blah blah. Like they just start going through like the different generations of Monster Hunter and just like this update has these ones.
Actually,
That would be kind of cool.
now that I'm thinking of the zones, they might be able to do a generations update because Mitsune can have the Coral Highlands. Um, I guess you can put Mammoth in the Elder's Recess because there's no cold area for him to go. Uh, the
Surprise! The release of the cold map.
right, right. Oh, I don't know. Remember his English name, but Ryzex can go in the forest.
Astalo.
There we go. Yeah,
I forgot him too.
I remember the Japanese name first. Can you believe that?
Same here.
And then I'm missing one. Oh, GLaDOS gonna go in the desert, I guess.
Glad. Yeah. I don't know. So we're given a lot of examples of stuff like Coral Highlands and Recess, but really the one that does not have a lot of variety is the Rotten Vale.
Really?
Yeah, you have Great Gyros, you have Odegaard,
Yeah.
and you have Radoban, and Valhazak. That's it. There's four. There's four possible aside from Basil Beast.
There's a dead Legiana.
It's dead. It's not fighting.
Yeah, actually, what could you put in that zone that would really fit though?
Well, as far as elders go, you could always put in, oh crap, what's his name? The squid
Oh, shoot!
with the bones.
He has to have his own special arena though. He's huge.
Yeah. Just put him in that area that Valhazak walks into.
I guess.
Nest. Had to fight him on the shore.
Oh yeah, that weird, the acid ocean area.
Yep. Just make him small. Nah, he would need his own.
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking up brute wyverns and I found a thing from Frontier Z, a 4 Heavenly King DevilJho. It's just a DevilJho on fire.
But of course, there's always the crazy. What is the name? I always forget the name of that anime.
Attack on Titan. There was an Attack on Titan DevilJho.
The Attack on Titan DevilJho with no skin and steaming muscles. Yeah.
There's a worse one I didn't even know about. By the way, that the Attack on Titan one, his jaw just keeps going down him. But there's an Evangelion Brachydios. It's colored like the Unit 01 from Neon Genesis Evangelion. It is ridiculous looking.
I'm gonna say that I was a little quiet there because I have no idea what you're talking about.
I will send you a picture, and you'll probably recognize the color scheme.
Okay.
For everybody else, just Google Brute Wyverns. It's in the list. You'll find it. But yeah, there's not that many Brute Wyverns, and I doubt they're gonna bring in anything from. I hope they don't bring in anything from Frontier, but you never know.
Yeah. I could see them making some new ones because I mean, really, as much as I want, like Tigrex to come back and all these things we're talking about, Brute Wyverns and some more variety on those ends. We really need the variety in the Coral Islands from Rotten Vale. I mean, those are what really need to happen. And DevilJho will help for some variety in there. Sometimes we're not getting like an ecological, like this lives in the Rotten Vale. I could see if they bring in Najarala, I could see him being in the Rotten Vale.
Yeah, he could fit there pretty well. I know this is adding more stuff to the ancient. Is it called the Ancient Forest? What's it called? I'm gonna keep missing.
Yep, Ancient Forest.
Okay, I know it'd be adding more stuff to the Ancient Forest, but I can see that beach where nothing ever goes ever, like
except for the King Marlin.
Yeah, like you don't see really anything there.
Jagras goes down there in time. So
Yeah,
he definitely did in the beta, and Anjanath will overlook it.
But I think that'd be a great place for like Icarus to wander on shore. They could do a like 3U update and have all those big boys come out.
Bracky, Laggy, Lavaseas.
I know Nargacuga's from an older game, but Narga is probably more famous from 3U because he had his subspecies.
Now, if you want to talk about an update from Freedom Unite, Narga.
Yeah. I'm just looking
Yeah,
at the options.
Narga is more associated because he's the box art of Freedom Unite.
Oh, that's right. It's one of those I missed Freedom Unite. Ooh.
Yep.
I know somebody who could fit in the Rotten Vale.
Oh yeah.
Let's get Giganox in the Rotten Vale.
Giganox.
We can, and if Giganox comes in, that means they don't bring in Kezu ever, which makes me a happy person.
Or they bring both.
What's that going to be? The gross fall update?
Here's the tapeworm and lamprey update.
I just think because Giganox uses lots of poison and is weak to fire, kind of like a lot of things in the Rotten Vale. And I think he'd be a pretty fitting area. I mean, he wouldn't be able to go certain areas, but there's other areas where there's definitely ceilings and walls he can crawl on. Like Valhazik's area. He can go down that way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's cramped spaces, too, if you think about where the Great Gyarados sleeps. That area.
Another thought that I did have is if they bring in, and this could help with the lack of weapon diversity, lack of armor diversity, is bring in some subspecies. I know not a lot of people like that idea, but if they create subspecies, it would definitely help out a bit, and they could put those out there while they're working on something bigger.
Well, I mean, don't discount a subspecies because Rathian is a not an entirely different monster from Rathian, but different enough that you do have to research her separately. She does have different armor. She does have different
yeah, that's true.
Move sets. So don't entirely discount subspecies.
I know. I just had to put that in there because a lot of people hate subspecies for some reason.
Yeah, I never got that hate. They're like, it's lazy design. I'm like, I mean, they're all different aside from Lukaku. Lukaku was blue.
There's actually something that I just thought of, because I'm looking through the list of monsters of ones they could bring in that would fit the world. Not just I want this one, but what would fit the world. The sand area could actually use a sand Barioth. We don't necessarily have to have the normal one. We can just have a sand Barioth.
Yeah, but I think there would be a lot more sand monsters that would come in before Barioth.
What, like a Gobble or Nibblesnarf?
Yeah, there's Nibblesnarf. There's, I know it's a frontier monster, but so badly I want to see a Kurabashima.
I keep hearing that name. I've never looked it up, but I'll have to find it.
It's a crystal scorpion.
Oh, that's right. It's that one. Okay. I could see him, he could be in that big sinkhole that gets blown up whenever Diablos decides to show up.
Could be a replacement for Diablos. As an Apex predator. Apex monster, I'll say, because Diablos is a predator. Another thing is, what's the spider?
Nursilla.
Nursilla, that's a good addition for the Rotten Vale.
Yes, that. I didn't even think about that thing in the Rotten Vale. That's creepy.
Ugh. Yeah. There's all sorts of previous monsters that we could go on for days to what could this be? What could this be? Honestly, I'd be more excited for some new monsters. What are those going to be? I don't know, but
my note is that they don't have many. There's certain elements that don't get doubles very well, a weapon will have one, example, I think a longsword has one paralysis longsword and it's hidden. They don't have a real paralysis longsword. So
it has to be awakened, and it's a Hornitar longsword.
Yeah,
it's a bug one.
So that's what I mean is I think that if they're gonna bring in more monsters, they may reinforce the elements they don't have yet, or fit slots they didn't really consider, the fact that fire is not good against most things again.
So Giganox does fit that, right?
Yeah.
So does Nursilla.
Was Nursilla weak to fire?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Because it had Gypsaros hide.
And Thunder.
So if you have Nursilla, you have Gypsaros most likely.
Yeah.
because that's what it eats. I could see Gypsers being in the Rotten Vale or Coral Highlands. I could see it being in either. Or the forest. Um, there's like Kazoo is another one that's weak to fire. Narga is going to be weak to fire.
What about the Celtis and the Celtis Queen? They could, I could see them fitting in the Elder's Recess because they've shown up in Heaven's Mount before. You know, that big kind of holy area.
Yeah. I would see them based on how they interact with each other. I could see them basically any of the insectoid monsters being in the Rotten Vale more so than anything.
Okay.
Just based on just how they are. To that point, I would see that map that you're talking about, the Heavens. What was it called?
Heaven's Mount.
Heaven's Mount. Yeah, I just called it the Floaty Island.
Yeah.
But that place, that was sort of like a catch-all for a lot of monsters. It wasn't really like
Their habitat.
Yeah, it wasn't really thematically designed for something to be living there.
I do have one note, and it's like a long stretch because we're talking about what monsters could fit in what areas and stuff like this. Capcom did recently announce, not recently now, but a month or two ago, announced the winners of there was a contest of what was the most popular Elder Dragon, and the internet voted Amatsu. I would have thought Kirin, but Amatsu won, and Amatsu I think would be an excellent fight if you put it at the top of Coral Highlands up in Legiana's Perch. Big area, storm all around you.
I could see it being anywhere that Legiana appears, aside from right outside of that top camp. The sort of area where you first see him. Left out of camp.
That bowl area.
I could see him being anywhere but there. I could see him being in the sort of tiered coral area just outside of his nest.
And I just thought of that because Amatsu's an old monster. Like he was on one of the PSP games as his first
Portable Third.
Yeah.
Portable Third is, well, I mean, that's kind of, I wouldn't consider him an old monster personally,
I know.
Only because Portable Third was so late in the Portable's life cycle. I want to say it was post the Wii game or around it.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that, but it's solidly in the third generation, which, I mean, yeah, I know. We're in the fifth generation. I shouldn't be saying third generation is newer. I still feel that way.
But there's also the fact that they have touched him up recently. It's not like they have to. I mean, obviously, if they redo the whole model, but they did bring him from the PSP up to the Switch and the 3DS with Double Cross Generations 2 for everybody else.
I do believe he was in Generations too, wasn't he?
Nope. I don't believe so. Unless I... Hold on, I have to go look now. Give me a second. But,
I don't know. I fought him before, and I didn't really feel the need to fight him again.
I just think he'd fit with the better visuals, the better sound.
And yeah, almost any monster would fit in the new engine. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
Like
wow, he was in Generations. Maybe I just didn't reach him in Generations.
Videos of Eric's and Gaijin. They didn't do a ton of coverage for that.
Okay. But yeah, him. He'd fit. Oh, I'm just looking at Elders at this point because they could bring in more Elder Dragons because we have 4, right?
Okay, yeah. So
5.
Well, if we get into the, if we talk about Elders and we talk about spanning some elements, one thing that is important to note is, we talked about weapon variety and that kind of stuff.
Right.
We only have one water source, right?
It's Tanos, right?
Yeah, we only have 2 lightning sources. And we only have 1 ice source. That's huge. There's 3 of the elements that have severely lacking weapon types.
Do we seriously only have 2 lightnings?
Yeah, Kieran and Toby.
Wow. But
That's it.
yeah, I can see one they could do easily, and people again might get upset because it's just a variant. I would love to see a Roshi Kieran. That would solve our ice crisis.
So what I was gonna say is the Leaf list has a Roshi Kieran on it, and
Really?
Nostra. Yeah. So that the Leaf list that's been floating around a while, we haven't seen Roshi Kieran, we haven't seen Lunastra, we haven't seen the Latria, which is on the list.
Oh, I actually did have a question. This is just me not remembering. What did Treasure Dragon turn out to be? Because they had, remember when we did our episode on the leaked list, one of the items was Treasure Dragon.
We have not seen Treasure
Hmm.
Dragon. To my knowledge, we knew about Zora Magdaros at the time. I recognized the name Valhazak. Nothing there, nothing that we've seen makes me think of Treasure Dragon.
Yeah. So maybe we'll have Treasure Dragon come in, whatever that turns out to be.
Jeez, yeah, I don't know. We got on a long tangent about just talking about various monsters they could put in, but what I could see one of my biggest guesses for a monster coming in alongside DevilJho in this update is, if it's funny enough, we don't have a lot of low tier monsters.
Yeah,
Notice that.
That's true.
They're all sort of sitting. There's it's like a fat onion. It's tapered off at the bottom and the top, and there's a lot in the middle.
Yeah, that's true.
So I could see DevilJho being at the top, and I could see them sort of smattering a lot of higher end monsters and lower end monsters. One of the things that I thought would go well with DevilJho is Kutku.
Aw, you disappointed me.
No, not Curry Pecco, because
Why?
Curry Pecco
He would be
is
the excellent.
so tied into the third generation. I would see that as a third generation update specifically.
But think about it. They'll introduce DevilJho, and the first quest everybody has access to is go hunt a Pecco again. Just bring back that old that old evil.
DevilJho and Curry Pecco do go hand in hand. Okay?
Yeah.
I get that. I could see them using both. It's not like they're mutually exclusive, right?
Right.
They used to be, because they filled the same role in the game. We're past that progression. Right? By the time we're doing these updates, they're just putting in extra monsters.
Some people may still be playing through it for the first time, though.
You're not wrong, but the vocal majority have already passed that.
I know.
That is very, very early in the game. You see Curry Pecco or Kutku. They are what we call the first real challenge. There's always the lowest tier of monster. In this one, it's the Great Jaggers. It's like the Velocidrome or the Great Macaw.
My thought was you put him in at the beginning of high rank. Kind of like the old Crimson Kurapeko filled the role of. You just put the number 1 there.
Right, but Curry Pecco did fill that second monster role that Kutku did. And that's why you didn't see Kutku and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because Curry Pecco, just as Giganox replaced Kazoo, is a very similar monster with a very similar ecological niche that fit the design better for third generation.
That's true.
Jagras. Not Jagras. Joggy. The Great Joggy was a replacement for Velocidrome. The Great Boggy was supposed to replace stuff like Gendrome or Iodrome. The Great Roggy is straight up better Iodrome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's definitely... We took a look at the old monster, we redesigned it for the third gen, and this is what we got. Right? Then there was just a lot of, let's bring this back. Narkuga, Tigrex, all that kind of stuff. Although Tigrex, I don't think came back till the 4th gen.
So, the main reason I was bringing up Kurapeko as well is not only because it goes really well with DevilJho, and because he's a good early game monster, but because of the fact that by putting DevilJho in this game, by putting Kurapeko in this game, you are just, I don't hate to use the word buffing, but you're buffing old Kurapeko. Because now Kurapeko can call things it couldn't call before. Like, imagine a Kurapeko calling in a basil. It could happen, and it would be terrifying.
True. Now, there is one huge problem with Kurapeko. He does the exact opposite of fixing that weak to lightning provides fire weapon issue.
He's also weak to fire, though, which not many things are.
He's mostly weak to lightning.
Oh.
Mostly weak to lightning, if I remember correctly.
Oh, wait, never mind. I was reading it wrong. He does fire. He's weakest to ice.
Okay, so ice.
That's
ice better.
Yeah. But ice is also one of the better elements to use. Like, we talked about this before. If you're going to make any weapons, elemental weapons in the game, make an ice or a fire weapon, or ice or lightning weapon, and it'll take care of what you need it to.
Ice will do mediocre for most except for Diablo Subrex.
Yeah.
I could see stuff like Arzuris coming in.
Yeah, Arzuris is an pretty easy early fight for people. He fits in the forest pretty well. Not too scary.
Yeah, the only problem is like all these things are like, hey, they're easy grabs to sort of lump in with DevilJho is all ancient forest. You see the problem here is the ancient forest is so prevalent for so many monsters in the past that because we had map variety before, but they were more, I don't know, these are more fantastical areas.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
It's harder to sort of lump things in these different places. Now, it's kind of easy to equate the Elder Recess with the volcano. That's why I'm talking about Rakadius. We could see Tetsucabra come in the Rotten Vale for something like that, because Tetsu's kind of a bottom feeder, kind of.
I was thinking about, I know it's a fan favorite thing, and this is just because they're at the bottom of the list, Zinogre for the Elder's Recess. He seems like that type where that's his, he's one of those big proud monsters that's not, not really contending for doesn't like to contend with people. I understood you fought him in the forest in 4U, but he usually stuck towards the rocky areas on the left-hand side of the map.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is, he's so tied in. Like, the first time we as U.S. players saw him was 3U.
Yeah.
And we saw him in, the
ice area.
Deserted Island and the Tundra.
Yeah, which, by the way, you fought the Tundra. Next to, you could fight him and DevilJho at the same time in the Tundra.
Yes. So we're talking like an ice map and the sort of general catch-all map that was the forest and the shore.
Yeah.
Of the other place. He really fits the Japanese aesthetic of the Misty Peaks far better.
Who?
Designed for that.
Zinogre?
Zinogre, yeah. That map debuted with him on Portable 3rd. He's the flagship of Portable 3rd. So, I could see something along those more fantastical Misty Peaks, very Japanese aesthetic maps coming in the future.
Kind of, I kind of had a thought of you could fit that aesthetic, but also include a snow map by it being on a mountain, like on the back side of the map, someplace we don't have revealed.
It's
where
snowing on Mount Fuji.
Yeah, the bottom area, like the lowlands area, is all nice and beautiful with lots of cherry trees and reeds and all the, basically the Misty Peaks. But then as you go higher up, you get snowy, and ice areas.
Yeah, I could see that. That could work for sure, and it would allow us to have a little bit more variety and still have some of those monsters. But who knows? Maybe we'll never see another map. We have a slot for another map on that Hunter's Notes.
Have you seen that picture, by the way, they caught in a game where it shows one of the maps and we're like on the little, I'll just call our map a circle because it basically looks like a circle. The circle is like half of the map, and
Yeah,
there's totally
yeah, I've seen
landmass
that.
to the right hand side.
Yeah, I
So
mean that's been true for almost every Monster Hunter game. Though we've always been just one portion of a continent and never fleshed it out.
yeah, but since this is the new world, we could
Well,
discover a
yeah,
new zone. Actually make the process of all the new DLCs just keep expanding on this new world.
which leaves the problem of not a lot of monsters in the Rock Vale.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a weird conundrum to have. Um,
As we
I've been
discover areas, they start following our researchers back and taking over areas they didn't know existed.
yeah.
I do have a question though regarding just the original buddy DevilJho that this whole announcement might be about. Is it possible that he might be coming with his Savage variant?
I can see that. I can see a Savage variant being his tempered version.
Oh yeah.
They just sort of roll it into the tempered because he's always been like one of those weird. I'm not a subspecies kind of subspecies.
I'm just an angrier DevilJho.
Yeah, like they don't treat him any differently. He counts as a DevilJho in the hunter's notes. There's no such thing as a savage DevilJho as far as like separation of kill count and that kind of thing. But there are savage DevilJho items. Like it's very weird. It's a very weird like middle ground. Whereas like what's there's another one that does that. It's like okay, I guess it's kind of a the Furious Rajang, right? There's Furious Rajang parts, but like,
Yeah.
it's not like its own monster.
Gear wise, it's a separate monster. Monster wise, it's just an angry Rajang.
Right, and we say monster wise, like the actual hunter's notes don't actually make a distinction. If you kill a Furious Rajang, it actually increases your Rajang kill count. Like there's no separate entry for it, and that's kind of what drives a lot of the in-game material is like this is this monster, and it's weird. It's like, well, you can have these extra items. It's like I don't know. It's kind of like a plus plus. You know what I mean? It's like a high ranking plus
Yeah.
monster, or G rank plus in 4U's case, which where both of these show up. Yeah, I don't know. Like there's a lot to be said about like DevilJho and what he is and what he can mean. He's beefy. I mean, the new update of him we saw in the trailer. Holy cow!
He big.
Beefy. He was a little more streamlined before. He was big, right? But he didn't look so.
He wasn't thick.
Overly muscular like he is. And he's always been a muscular. I mean, it's hard to describe, but he's always been a muscular monster. Right, that's one of those things. Muscles bulge out when he's angry.
I think it was just I want to say polygon limitations, but I don't know if that's accurate. But I think it was just the limitations of the time. They couldn't show what they really wanted it to look like.
See, I'm kind of hard to say that because you got the Wii U version.
Yeah, but in the Wii U version, he was still pretty smooth. And if you think about the graphics on the Wii U version, he kind of would have looked lumpy if you tried to make him have muscles. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's kind of weird. It's the Wii U version is weird because they built it up. They built it up for the 3DS version, but they really overhauled it to make it HD. Like they didn't just slap the models in HD. They actually reworked them. But it's kind of a weird era of the game as far as graphics go. Because existing on the Wii, which is a little bit better than a GameCube at the time, and then you go to 3DS from there and Wii U, but it was also 3DS. Stuck with 3DS until, well, Xbox One and PlayStation 4 at this point. So, sort of a huge jump in models.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. He looks far more intimidating, I'll say that. But then again, we only got some glimpses of him. And we got him in a really weird way. He was carrying a Jagras. Just carrying it. Like a chew toy.
But
look, Hunter, look what I brought you. That's okay. That's okay.
See, I want to know: is he still going to eat his own tail?
I don't think he will. I think that was just like a logic thing.
I hope they include it kind of as a bad phrase, but an old phrase, an ascended meme, where because So everybody knows about it now. They might get canon. Like, yeah, sure, why not?
Maybe. Who knows? I'm not particularly excited to see him use his own tail. I've only seen it once or twice in my thousands of hours, third generation. Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
It's funny, but it's not like I don't know. It's not like when you see him the first time, and just him himself is intimidating, erupting out of the ground. Glory. You're like, holy cow, what is that?
I just realized he doesn't have to dig anymore.
Nope.
So, hey, we don't have that silly looking animation anymore.
Diablo sticks.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to?
Greetings from the Research Zeppelin. We come from wild, ancient lands to bring you sightings of a wild beast known as the Velocidrome, the Blue Devil. So, this is our new segment we're going to be doing, where we're going to be talking about a monster. Once a week, maybe twice a week, we'll see. But the focus of today's talk is the Velocidrome. Just quick basic rundown of it. It first appeared in the first Monster Hunter ever, and has since appeared in many Monster Hunter games, including Monster Hunter 1, Portable 2, 2U, 4, Generations, Frontier, even Stories Online and Spirits, which I didn't know was a thing, but it is.
Yeah.
Generally, if you've never seen a Velocidrome before and you don't have Google Images, I don't know how you're listening to this, but they are they are blue velociraptors with a big red crest on their head. Kind of looks like a blade, and for some sword and shield variants, it becomes a blade. Mostly of the time, they've been found in forests. I think maybe once or twice they've showed up in other locations, like in the deserts before. Fort, you can back me up on this. But
No, not to my knowledge. Velocidromes have only really appeared in the forest maps, and then sometimes in the sort of catch-all expedition map.
okay.
Which there was desert-looking areas in that, but
Oh yeah, that's right. So it wasn't really weak to anything in particular. I noticed this when I was looking it up because most monsters have a weakness. It
right, it was
Velocidrome.
weak to damage.
Yeah,
Very weak.
it takes hits from everything. If you technically want to do more optimal damage, use ice. But I'm not sure of the actual reason behind that. I guess cold is cold.
Yeah, well, it was introduced in 4U to have a slight weakness to ice.
Okay.
So,
On a weird note, it resists dragon attacks, actually.
yep.
So, unlike Pokemon where dragon is this big end-all tank-all element, dragons just sometimes doesn't work against monsters in Monster Hunter.
Yeah, there's actually a lot more Monster Hunter World monsters that resist to dragon than you would think.
I was able to do quite a bit of research on its weapons as well. I used 4U for most of the research for this, just because
It's the most recent thing. Yeah,
Also, trying to find data for some of the old ones is hard.
true.
But in 4U, most every weapon you could make out of a Velocidrome was terrible. Almost all of them were stuck at rarity 1 or 2 or maybe 3. But they were pretty bad.
Generations fixed a lot of that because you could upgrade any weapon to max.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that part. But in 4U specifically, there was 2 that were really good. There was a rarity 8 sword and shield. It was called the Grace Stabberdag. That's an awesome name. It had white sharpness and pretty deep, and I think 10% affinity, and it was a big sharpness bar too, so not terrible.
Yeah.
And they also had a rarity 9 bowgun, the Blue Burst. Had pretty good attack, 30% affinity for a Velocidrome, and it could rapid fire. I could be getting this wrong, but from what I was able to see, it can rapid fire Normal 2, Pierce 2, and Pellet 2. So if you want a cheap bowgun, yeah, sure, go with the Velocidrome, I guess.
So one thing to note, Velocidrome is indeed named after a Velociraptor, but it's a misnomer because Velociraptors, while they're more popular in dinosaur lore, this thing would probably be closer to something like a Deinonychus, just like Jurassic Park, because the whole reason why Deinonychus is a distinction is that there's a larger toe claw that sticks up in a Deinonychus, and this happens with the Velociraptor also. There's also a larger finger claw in the Velociraptor. Um, and they're like bright red for the Velocity. But if you want to get super technical, Dinosaur Deinonychus is a far closer adaptation of what this would be. Even though Velocidrome is, Velociraptor, Velocidrome, closely.
I didn't actually know that. That's pretty cool. It does fit with their main attack pattern, which is to jump at you. They do
Right.
have bites. They do. I don't think they tailspin, but they will jump at you, and they can jump pretty far. And whenever you get hit by it, provided you don't have a shield, you will be knocked away pretty hard. I know.
Yeah, they were pretty twitchy before. Only because we're talking about the Velocidrome now, and that sort of ties into the Veloci Prey,
Yes.
which is his minions, is a little known fact that not a lot of people know because didn't play a lot of the older gens. It was actually possible to cut Prey in half in the original monster.
Really?
Yep. So you would strike at a monster if it was mid-air and you killed it. It would actually, you know how like when a Kelby disappears, it just sort of like fades away out of existence.
Yeah.
It would do that in mid-air with its top half going one way and its bottom half going the other.
That is super anime, and I love it.
Yeah, they would just sort of dissipate and cut in half. And this happened to a lot of Prey. Now, there were claims that this happened to drones also, but I never saw anything to back them.
Okay. One thing to note is they are fast. If you try to take a, let's just say, not a hammer, but if you try to take a great sword to fight one of these, be prepared to be just angry, as every single charge will miss, and anytime you do a swing, it'll just go for you and knock you back. So
Yeah, they're pretty twitchy monsters.
as for its, sorry, go on.
I was going to say it's important to note that this is usually the first monster you would fight in the original monster.
I think you told me this. Wasn't this the first one like ever? Like this was the first monster you fought in first game, right?
No,
Oh,
that was Kutku.
wow! They had you fight a Kutku before a Velocidrome.
No, I was in a friend's quest and I joined Kutku.
That's right. I remember that story now. Okay.
Yeah, it was just last week.
I didn't mean you. I meant in general the average player.
Yeah. Yeah, no, in general, the average player would fight a Velocidrome first. If you started in Monster Hunter 1 or Freedom, anything after that, though, Velocidrome would not have.
That's right. I think Jagras ended up taking its place pretty much, didn't it?
Joggy, not Jagras.
Oh, that's right,
I know, it's
Jaggy.
hard.
That's gonna kill me.
Third gen and on, it was Jaggy. Second gen, it was actually Geodrome.
Really? Okay, that's
Yeah.
a interesting starter.
Yep.
It did have actually pretty decent armor to start off with. I wasn't able to find the stats for Monster Hunter 1 because those armor stats are lost to time.
Most likely.
However, in 4U, it actually was a decent startup. It gave you 13 points of attack, which, quick refresher for Monster Hunter Worlds players, you had to have 10 points to make a skill actually work. So, you had 13 points of attack up, and if you found 2 attack gems, which you could just make back then, you get attack up medium pretty easily because it had 4 slots in it. And it also had stun resist 7 out of 10. Or sorry, 10 points of stun resist, and then 7 out of 10 points of psychic. So if you wanted a really early game set that could just kind of deal with things, it was alright. And pretty cheap to make because it's a Velocidrome.
So the psychic skill is you would innately know where a monster was on the map. You just show up on the map. Kind of like if you have like full research level on the scout plans.
Yes, and it was very helpful too. Like, extremely, because otherwise, if you didn't know where it spawned, and you didn't have scout flies, you just kind of had to wander and maybe run into it.
Yep. And then paintball it.
Yes, or if you forgot paintballs, curse yourself.
Pray to Gogma as you find it.
So I did have something I needed to check with you. I wasn't able to find proof of this, but I do remember a cutscene, and I can't find my 4U cart. Was Velocidrome, I specifically remember, wasn't Velocidrome one of the first frenzied monsters you fought in 4U as well?
I don't think so. I think I remember the first frenzy being tigers.
Really?
Something along those lines. Yeah. Something a little more powerful.
Because I remember there was a Congalala,
Maybe that's it.
but I
Maybe
thought it was
that's
something super weak. Either way, I believe they used Velocidrome in 4U to also introduce you into the guild system, the guild quest system.
They did.
And I didn't know you can actually get up to a guild quest level 140 uh, Velocidrome. I have no idea how hard that would be, but it sounds just annoying.
It's super hard. I never got one that far because why would you? There was there wasn't really any reward for doing so. As you know, getting guild quests up that far, you were farming for better gear, better old gear, I would say, better weapons, and all of those are handled by better monsters. So it's like you're fighting. It's kind of the reason why they don't have tempered Tsuchiyaku, tempered Kuliyaku, Jaggers. Why? You would get such a bad tier of items. Why would you ever increase the difficulty for that monster?
So I can't find it, but I did see there was a chart for Velocidrome, and you could get some of the old armor, the rusted armor, by killing a level 140. It was like a 3% drop chance to get a piece of armor, but you could technically do it.
Yeah, but it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
I would say. So no one ever did it. I mean, I'm sure people did.
Yeah, but nobody's saying never did it.
Right, it wasn't popular.
As a interesting note, while doing research, I did come across a fun fact from a forgotten side of Monster Hunter. In Frontier, there were 2 special versions of the Velocidrome.
Okay.
So Velocidromes appeared every season of Frontier, including Frontier Z or G, whatever it's called. And there was a hardcore version at first that had spinning bites, super tackles, and its tackles also you needed 2 levels of tremor resist to actually withstand its tackles. Because even if it missed you, it would shake the ground around you and then do like a power spin and hit you.
Well, that's Frontier for you.
So that's the first version. They also made a G rank version of Velocidrome for Frontier G, which one of it,
yes.
It had a special, I guess it was a breath attack. I couldn't find a video of this. It could inflict 5 different status effects, including sharpness loss as a status effect. It could just take the sharpness from your weapon. Drunk, which is a status effect that apparently only exists in Frontier.
But it exists in the tavern.
Oh yeah, so for those who don't know, drunk is you just stumble around, weapon put away, unable to really control your character, until you get hit in the face by a monster.
Yep, kind of like when you're falling asleep.
Defense reduction, which, hey, it's coming from DevilJho, our upcoming buddy. Soiled, which, I don't know, does anything give you soiled in this current game?
No.
Okay.
Nothing currently.
So, in older games, soiled, basically, you're dirty, and you cannot heal yourself by any means. There's no drinking a potion because your character doesn't want to, I guess, touch the lid. On. Yeah. Actually, so here's a fun gross fact for you. In 4U and stuff, it evolved, farted, pooped on, whatever gross stuff. In Frontier, a lot of monsters can give you soiled. Most of it was with vomit.
Powerful.
Most of it's with projectile. Like I was trying to find footage of it. It's like, this is just disgusting and terrible.
Yeah.
But the last one I thought was interesting. One of the status effects it can give you is Farcaster. It can just Farcaster you away.
Again, Frontier for you. Yeah, I'm done with you. Later. At least it takes you back to camp and you can rest that stuff off.
I guess. So
it's just so weird.
I did have a side little story. It's not Monster Hunter related, but I thought it was very fun. And I don't know if we can cut this out if you don't want to do this, but here we go. While I was searching, because I didn't know what drunk did in Frontier, I was like, what the hell is the drunk status effect? So I went to Google and I searched the exact words, Frontier G drunk. Simple Google search. The top result was a news story from the BBC titled "Why Astronauts Are Banned from Getting Drunk in Space,"
Ah.
and it is it. The reason I'm telling you this exact thing is because I think everyone should go read this article. It is fascinating. It's not what you think. It's not because they'll get super drunk and crash a space station or something. It's more along the lines of you can't burp in space properly because when you burp
Oh.
down here, gravity's holding the
Yes.
water down. So when you go to burp in space,
Ah.
yeah, that's
No.
crazy. Also,
Ugh.
I did not know this. And fun fact about what some of our NASA funding goes to. In 2011 to 2014, NASA sponsored an experiment that studied microgravity's effect on whiskey and the aging process. So they put I guess a barrel. I don't know how they did this. They with the chips of oak and all that stuff in it, and they let it age in space for 1,000 days to test and see if it worked, and to see what effect it had. And the quote is the observation is implications not just for the malt whiskey industry, but those of food and drink industry in general. So who knows what that means? However, maybe in the future, far future, with SpaceX, you'll be able to get a bottle of $1,000 space whiskey. So if you want to go look up that news story, I thought that was amusing and fun.
I know I don't drink, so I would never do that. But yeah, that's just wow.
So yeah, not reasons why you can't get drunk in space.
Okay.
But that's really all I had for Velocidrome. It was a very simple monster. It didn't have the only variants were in the crazy game of Frontier. But in most games, It's just been a nice entry monster that's provided solid weapons for the beginning of low rank and the beginning of high rank.
So those of you who don't know, Frontier is the PC version of the game that we're never going to get.
Yes.
Basically, an MMO version of Monster Hunter that came out a long time ago. We're talking pre the United States getting second generation, I think, which was Freedom 2. So, yeah, it's been around for a long time. It's mostly based on second gen tech. It's still mostly based on second gen tech, even though G updated, I think, the third gen tech, maybe.
Yeah.
There was a re-release, but yeah, it's got a long history of stuff. We actually have some carryover from that. So you notice we have our little pet flying bird that we fly around
Oh yes.
on. There's actually a pet that you get that is a flying bird that helps you attack monsters.
So I cannot find the release date for the original Frontier.
It's lost to time.
However, Frontier G, which was the kind of updated version, was launched in 2007. World of Warcraft came out only 3 years earlier than that.
Yep.
So actually, it launched about the same time as the Burning Crusade. So it's been going for a long time. I don't know if it still continues to go. I think they've recently took it down for Frontier Z. I could be wrong.
Maybe. I don't know.
But
again, that's something we're not allowed to do as U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
So we're actually IP blocked. So
IP blocked, and
Can't
plus, I don't know if it was the same as in. There's also one called Monster Hunter Online that you can technically play, but I'm not endorsing that. It requires
the Chinese one.
You have to have an address and like a driver's license number and like other crazy stuff. It's like you have to do a lot to verify that you live in the country that you're allowed to play.
Yep. Too much work.
Yeah, so it's the fact that it's been going for a long time. And maybe one day we'll get something, but I think Worlds is the closest we're going to get, cuz Worlds is it's pretty connected. We're back on a console and everything.
Thank you, Hunters, for joining us today. This is at Fortuan signing off. I'll see you next quest. And Loboren, where can we find you?
You'll probably find me in the jaws of a DevilJho, hopefully not dead. We'll see, though.
That's soon.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just learning about him Wednesday.
Don't
You-
don't underestimate my powers that die to a DevilJho.
Transcends movies. It's like you're gonna wake up. Chomp.
Thank you, hunters, for listening today. You can catch us on SoundCloud or any past episodes on Google Drive download or YouTube.